Hey everyone, hope everybody's having a good day. I want to do something cool. I want to share some ideas with you guys, things that I find as I'm going through my shop and going through tools and using things in and throughout projects. So I'm going to call them So Did You Knows. And I'll probably maybe even do a hashtag for those, but what I want it to be is show a tool to you as well as some features of the tool that maybe you weren't aware of or didn't know. So today I have my favorite little sander to use in my shop. I have the SurfPrep 4x3 pad sander or rectangular sander. So it takes a 3" by 4" sanding pad. But a lot of people have seen these in and throughout Instagram and social media and YouTube. What I want to do is kind of share with you the variety of features that this sander has to offer. It's not just a flat sanding tool. A lot of you have probably seen the pictures or illustrations of it, sanding contours and curves and stuff. And that is one of the cool features of it. But also, some other things that they have to offer are, it comes standard with a 4-hole sanding vacuum system. You can get it also without a vacuum system on it, but I have the vac hose on mine. So what that does is, on a standard sanding element like this abrasive here, this film, has 4 holes, therefore you have 4 points of vacuum extraction through the pad itself. But they also offer a multi-hole, which is great because they also offer the net or screen version of their sanding material. This is awesome because what it is an array of void that allows all the substrate to go through it into the vacuum, through the holes, or to not build up and clog like it does on a non-porous paper element. So this, coupled with a screen, produces a great sanding experience with very little dust output. The other thing I wanted to share is also they offer different levels of foam abrasive. They have a 5mm here. This one I've used quite a bit, but this is a fine abrasive. This is a 10mm, and then they also have the 1/2" version. And what these are good for is getting around soft edges. So like if you're breaking the edge on a workbench or on a cutting board, something like that, what I do is I'll take a router bit and I'll go over it, and then you always kind of get that bearing line or that tool line from cutting it. I'll put one of these pads on and go back and soften that routing feature with the sander itself. Another thing that I wanted to share is I use this a lot with the 1/2" material, the 1/2" abrasive on live edge. So I'll debark all this and clean this up, but then after I've gotten to that point, I want to clean up some of the marks and whatever that's on that live edge to give it that nice clean look. What that does is this foam will contour and go over that live edge in an array of formats. So being able to have that kind of sanding power without sitting there, by hand or, with a flat sander and you're trying to shape that yourself and still keep that natural organic element of the wood. This sander coupled with this type of abrasive is really a nice, powerful tool to have when you're doing live edge work or any kind of contour work. Some tips that I maybe would share is sometimes if you're like stripping material, if you have like an old cabinet or a box that has finish on it that needs to be refinished or redone, the element of getting in these edges and these corners. So what this sander offers is the ability to kind of get up tight into those square corners and work in those areas. But another thing that I like to do, and this is again more in some furniture type formats where maybe this is a rounded piece or sculpted piece. I had to do a sanding project where I had a bunch of round features that I had to kind of get in around corners and edges. What I do is I'll extend or overhang that abrasive past the end, and I'll use that to kind of let the material fill that void as I'm sanding. So for instance, if this wasn't a square corner, but if that was a radius in there and you wanted to kind of clean that up, you could put paper on your thumb and come in there and rub. But if you have a huge piece that you're refinishing, that's kind of a tedious task and your hands are going to be killing you by the end. If you have this, you can put this in there and you can see it kind of conforms to a radius. Depending on the radius that you're trying to match, again, play around with the paper, put it on the sander in certain ways, and you can find that you can probably get that sanded and stripped the way that you need to. Again, you can even offset it. I did this a little bit too, where I offset it in 2 directions. So now I have the ability to kind of come in like a dish and even, you know, work around a corner that's maybe like something like that. If you had like a bowl or a dish type format where you had to kind of get in around an area and work. The footprint of this sander is very small and very compact in a sense that you can really get into a lot of nice tight areas with it. Is it the smallest one that's out there? It is not. But as far as versatility and working across the platform of all the different types of things that I do, this sander has been the one that's used the most, and I've dropped it, I've banged it around, and it still works just fine. And all of the parts and features that I've kind of just shared with you, like the backup pads, all that stuff is replaceable. So there's 4 bolts that are easily accessible. If this gets worn out, if the Velcro feature hook and loop gets worn out, you can pull that off. You can service these sanders. It's like once if something happens to it, it's not junk. You know, for the money that we pay for these, they've got to be serviceable to a point. So the ability to buy, you know, replacement pads and backup plates and stuff just offers that much more quality to the product, above and beyond the product itself. Again, like the variety of stuff that SurfPrep has to offer, when you buy one of these sanders, you know, you get this nice sheet with your kit, and they give you a myriad of these papers and abrasives to try. You get a couple of the film screen assortments, you get regular paper assortments, you get some of the foam sponge assortments, you get the interface pad, you get the pad saver, all these different features to go along with the sanding experience. Something like this you hang up on the wall in your shop, and you buy your sander cart or throw it in the sustainer if you have that for your sander, makes that just a great tool as well to go along with it. One last thing that I wanted to share about this sander is, and SurfPrep altogether, is I just found out that they offer these white pads. So some of you may think like, oh, this, you know, it's a white Scotch-Brite pad, I'll just buy a big pad and cut it up. That's great, but to me, to be able to buy a box of these and know that they're already cut to size, they're ready to go, makes this another great asset to have. I just discovered Rubio Monocoat and some oil type finishes that are best when applied with a pad and kind of worked into the grain in the material. And again, you can do it by hand. I've got a buffer that I use as well, but for finer pieces, that buffer doesn't get into those tight corners and those spots. So the ability to throw this pad on here and take the dust extraction off because you don't need it, put it on a low speed, and be able to work in my oil hardening finish is, again, another great feature to have. It's now not just a sander, it is now a tool for applying finish. So I just wanted to share this sander with you guys today and hopefully shed some light on some of the features and the benefits of a sander like this. Is it a big, you know, heavy duty orbital sander? It is not. It has its own place in my shop for its purpose. I will not use it to finish a big flat table, but I will use it to do any contour work on that table or anything on the base. If I put roundovers on the legs or anything like that, this sander in like a medium speed with a 5 or a 10 millimeter pad on it and like a very fine grit will just leave me a very nice finish that's ready for finish at that point. So again, the SurfPrep sanders are great sanders. This one is one of my favorites. They are available in different sizes. I also have the 5-inch Ray here. This one is a tight orbit or a 3/32, 2.5 millimeter orbit, 10,000 RPM sander. This is my favorite sander of the 3. This one as well also has the option of getting the multi-hole backup pad. So you can simply take this off, put this one on, and now if you use any screen or mesh material, abrasive material with this sander, you get way better dust extraction instead of just the 5 ports pulling through a screen. So definitely check them out. They're not paying me to say any of this. This is all just, again, I want to share with you guys something to look forward to if you want to up your sanding game, if you want to bring some tools into your shop that are going to make your life easier in the finishing aspect of your furniture or your projects, whatever you're building. You put all that work up front, you buy the materials, especially now with the prices, everything is really detrimental to providing a nice finished product at the end that the customer or your family member or whoever, or even yourself, you're gonna look at it and be like, wow, that looks really nice. You don't wanna get to a point where you have to sand and you dread it because you're using a cordless sander or you're using something that has given you a substandard result that you're not expecting. So take the money, take the time, build some projects and figure out what you want, but something like this, there's a value to it where it starts to pay itself off in the use in your shop. So I know it's kind of long-winded, but I wanted to share some cool stuff with you, some features, some things that you don't see every day on Instagram and on social media and the internet. Hopefully you can find something out from these types of interactions. So yeah, keep an eye out. I'm going to try to do these as I find something. I'm not going to force them down your throat or force them in my content because I feel that I want to share something real with you guys. If I find a cool use or a cool tool in the shop or a process, I'm going to share it. And if you like it, please leave me a comment, let me know. If you don't like it, also leave me a comment and let me know what you think. Is there a reason that you don't like it? Or, do you just don't want to hear me talk, you want to see me build stuff? I don't care. Either way, I gotta get back to my miter saw station. Have a great Saturday. Hope tomorrow's good for you as well. Get out in the shop, make some sawdust. I'm Casey with Series Makes, and thanks for watching.